This is WOON, Woonsocket Radio, ON, AM, and FM. This ON, AM, and FM forecast brought to you by Chan's Fine Oriental Dining, 267 Main Street, Woonsocket. For takeouts, call 765-1900. Sunny skies today with a high of 61 degrees, but a stiff breeze from the northwest up to 30 miles per hour. A red flag warning has been issued by the National Weather Service for outdoor burning danger today. Tonight, clear skies, overnight low of 35. Sunday's weather, sunny with a high of 61. Monday, sunshine and 58. Tuesday, sunshine and 57. Wednesday, mostly sunny and 57 degrees. Thursday, a 60% chance of some rain likely, mostly cloudy and 53. And on Friday, a 50% chance of more rain, mostly cloudy and a high near 49.
And currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street, we have 49.3 sunny degrees. And welcome to the Cheap Seats with Pat and Kevin. I'm Kevin Callahan along with Pat Holland. Pat, we were talking a little bit before we went on the air. When we first started this show, it rained every single Saturday for about 2 months. And then, boy, now we are in desperate need of some rain. I don't think it's rained, at least on Saturday, for about the last 3 months here anyway, which is great for the outdoor and the sporting activities. Bad for the outdoor fires at night.
Yeah. And there's definitely a lot of those going on, especially up north.
Ooh, yeah, it's been tough, but all right. Thank you again for joining us in the Cheap Seats. And later on today, later on this morning, we'll have Brendan McGeer joining us to talk about men's college basketball, specifically Bryant Brown, URI, and PC. But let's jump right into the local scene. There was a big night last night for the Final Four in high school football. In Division I Final Four, LaSalle 43, St. Ray's 22. And then Hendricken pulling away late, extending a 6-point halftime lead into a 35-22 win. Hendricken will now play LaSalle. And boy, who didn't see that one coming?
Yeah, right.
For the D1 Super Bowl. You got some news on LaSalle running back last night. Did he have a bad game? Will he run?
Yeah, huge game. And I believe I've heard probably one of the best of his career. Terrence Campbell, who's a URI commit, rushed for 3 touchdowns, scored a 4th in the air, and just dominated play. So, I think at the beginning of the season, everyone says, Super Bowl, Division I, Super Bowl, Hendricken LaSalle. So here we go.
Hendricken LaSalle, just like everyone
Part 2,
thought.
right?
Part 2, here we go.
In the Division I subdivision, Final Four, North Kingstown beat Portsmouth 21-14. They will play Burrowville, who for the second time in 3 weeks upset Central 20-14 in overtime. Burrowville was leading 14-2 going into the fourth quarter. Central stormed back to force overtime. And that Burrowville North Kingstown game will take place next Saturday at 3 o'clock at Cranston Stadium. And that game went to overtime because Central missed 2 extra points.
Yeah, we don't know if they were kicks, a 2-point conversion that said extra points in the paper this morning, but that's a tough way. I know they got a safety on a backward pass that rolled out of the end zone. But great for Burrowville, good for the local team, and congratulations to Cumberland for making it to the Final Four, and Burrowville in the basically you'll talk to so many people that want the basically the Catholic division and then the public school division. It does come down to Hendricken and LaSalle so often in football. Not to take anything away from Cumberland, Portsmouth, who beat Hendricken this year. Yeah, North Kingstown, a strong team, but. The subdivision gives sometimes the smaller schools. Burrowville's a smaller school playing Division I, chance to play for something and culminate the career for many of these seniors as well. So congratulations to Burrowville and Hendricken LaSalle as well. It should be a great game next week as Burrowville takes on North Kingstown. The other Super Bowl next Saturday. There's going to be 2 on Sunday and then another one on Saturday. Next Saturday will be the D4 championship as Narragansett will take on Davies. Davies with a comeback win last night. Narragansett prevailed 48-30 over Smithfield, while Davies beat Exeter West Greenwich Prout Co-op Boy, we covered them once this year. It's
a
just not
mouthful.
easy to say. It's a mouthful. 49 to 36 on that game.
Not a lot of defense.
No, not at all.
Then on Sunday, the Division II, Division III championships will take place as South Kingstown will play West Warwick for the D2 prize at noon, and Ponagansett, who beat number 2 Pilgrim last night. Again, another high score. I don't know. I think they put up like 50-something points.
Oh,
but,
I think that was the 90-point total.
yeah.
Total point game. I saw
They'll
that.
take on West Warwick at 3 o'clock in the Division III championship. Again, all games will be played at Cranston Stadium.
Excellent. All right, turning our attention over to we've been following them all year. We had the president of the team, RIFC, the first expansion team to make it this far. RIFC will head to Charlestown tonight for an Eastern Conference final at 7 o'clock after defeating Louisville City 3-0. Louisville City had been to, I think, like 8 Eastern Conference championships in a row. Something crazy like that.
Yeah, I think it might have been 9.
Maybe 9. It's they were the odds-on favorite, and they were shocked last week. A big crowd down in Louisville City. The winner of that game will face the winner of the 9 o'clock game tonight. Colorado Springs Switchback versus the Las Vegas Lights. The championship game will take place next Saturday. I believe the game will be on CBS because it was last year.
Yeah.
And I believe it will. Today's games will be on ESPN Plus. And the one thing I can't find out, I'm not a big fan of their website. I don't know if it's a neutral site game. I don't know if it's at the higher
not.
seed. It's not.
And it's not at the. I think technically, RIFC would be the higher seed remaining, but there's some technicality. So if these games were to come out, RFC wins and Vegas wins, the game would be played at Vegas wherever they play.
And what if the Colorado Springs Switchback would be in Colorado?
It's still the higher seed.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it's tough to find the schedule. I even Googled it. So
so good luck. Yeah, good luck to them. We've been following them, and funny enough, my wife were down. My wife and daughter were down in New Jersey last week for the Gotham City playoffs. Clay Holstad,
in NWSL,
the NWSL, and Clay Holstad, who plays for IFC, was there. My wife got a picture with him, which I posted on our Facebook page. But she said he's really a nice guy. His girlfriend plays for Gotham City. She happens to be one of my daughter's favorite players. So it was a win-win for everyone around. So
and as
they play today. Gotham City plays today, I believe at noon in the semifinal of the NWSL down in DC,
which is basically New England's home team until the Boston team decides to open up in a year or 2 years from now. Seasons, not next season.
Hopefully by then
after.
I can get my wife and daughter to switch over because it'll be a lot closer drive. And,
Boston's closer than New York.
less hotels and tolls. So yeah, good luck to RAFC. I actually had a chance. I didn't end up being able to make it, but I had a chance to go tour the new stadium. I didn't end up getting there. But hopefully I'll try to reschedule that.
A friend of mine got a chance to tour. It's pretty good. I guess they do them on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah, Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Are they free? Do you know? I don't know.
I think you have to be on like their ticket list.
Okay.
I got an email about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I don't want to put out any false information on that.
Over to local college football. 2-8 Bryant. They fell again to Maine last week, 38-26. They'll take on William and Mary today at 1 on the road. 3-5 Brown dropped a high-scoring game to Yale, 56-34 last week. The Bears take on Columbia at home today for Senior Day, beginning at 12.
Yeah, and they should forgot to mention too that William and Mary I think is ranked number 24 in the country, so it could be a tough game.
They have a lot more Williams this year than Marys.
The best quote ever. Lou Holtz was coaching William and Mary, and he was coaching Notre Dame, and they lost to William and Mary. And they asked him why he lost. He said, "Too many Marys, not enough Williams."
Yeah,
great quote. Can't say that on the air today.
True.
For I guess obvious reasons. I don't know. URI in football lost a tough one to Delaware last week, 24-21. We mentioned that Delaware is going up to the FBS, so they're not ranked, but they came into the season with a preseason ranking of number 6, so that's not a bad loss. They were number 11. They didn't hurt themselves too badly in the loss, dropping to number 15.
And I think if Delaware was actually being ranked, they'd be certainly in the top 10.
Maybe top 5 with only one loss on the year. Absolutely. That's
why it was a good game.
So it's not yeah, it's not that they're unranked; they're just not being
They're
ranked.
not
But I
eligible to- yeah.
think, like you said, that's why URI did drop 4 spots because they lost. But if they were like an 0 for team, they may have dropped all the way to
Yeah, it's because
down to
the FCS does they don't have the bowl games. They do the tournament, so you can't have them slotted in there if they're not eligible to play.
Exactly. So
which
URI
makes
is
sense.
home today to take on Albany for Senior Day, and then they finish their regular season next Saturday at Bryant. Both games are at 1:00. So great chance to go out and catch some URI football, or next week URI Bryant local football. Go support a couple great teams there. So, all right, I'll let you take the next.
Yeah. A big win last week for BC, but what's happening over there? Tommy Castellanos gets benched.
He's the quarterback.
Yeah, and essentially he stayed on there when Billy O'Brien came in. I've thought about this a lot, but essentially he got benched. They bring in Grayson James, who came in. And they go on to beat Syracuse 37-31.
And to be fair, it was a running attack game. 30.
Yeah,
it's
they
not
rushed
that
for
Castellanos threw a lot. Grayson James, I
Yeah,
think, was
they-
5 for 6.
They rushed for almost 400 yards. So
Exactly.
Both backs went for like 190,
Yeah.
200. So Castellanos turns around and essentially he's in the transfer portal.
He left the team shortly after. Didn't leave the school, and then it comes out.
and he's not
yesterday.
traveling. He didn't travel with the team.
Right. Because they're down in Dallas, I think.
So they're down in Dallas to take on SMU, who's ranked number 14. That's today at 3:30. I just think he's a round peg trying to be fit into a square. I mean,
Yeah.
Billy O'Brien didn't recruit him.
Correct.
He stayed on there. I think Billy probably has
His
guys
ways.
coming in now.
And
and-
Castellanos was hurt earlier this year.
Yeah.
Missed the game.
So, I get it. The transfer portal, and again, yeah, maybe we can talk to Brendan a little bit more about this. The transfer portal is crazy. So, but yeah, so hopefully BC can hold on. Maybe they can, turn around and knock off SMU today. Who
Who's
knows?
number 14. My quick take on this, though, is I don't know Tommy Castellanos. I don't know his family. I don't know the situation, all that. My take is he just left his team mid-season. They're 5-4. They have 3 more regular season games. All theory, they're going to have a bowl game. So they got 4 more games left this year. He's in the portal. He left the school, Boston College, which is also a pretty good academic school, no less. What team wants him now? He won't be playing at SMU next year or a higher ranked team.
Yeah.
Where's he gonna go? And what team wants him? He just quit on this team. That's the perception of me as an outsider.
Yeah.
Is that he
And
quit on
he's-
his team?
I would think he's the highest paid player on that team.
I would think so as a
For what
quarterback.
I understand, he got $500,000.
Wow. So it's
And so, it's like, well, and I get it, it's a business now, which,
Right.
but first and foremost, it should be about the academic,
Right.
but, whatever.
no, I get it.
Does he have to pay back? Is there,
Who knows? But again, I'm hesitant to take a chance on him. I'm UNLV. I've made up a school that needs a quarterback. I'm
they do.
hesitant to go after Tommy Castellanos.
and he's probably hesitant to go there since they didn't pay their last quarterback.
Exactly. Maybe that's why they jumped into my head.
Right?
So I don't want to spend the whole show on Tommy Castellanos talk in BC. Obviously, it's not a strong college football area, but it's worth noting
Now-
that I think he quit on this team.
I would say if he's if it's, hey, this system doesn't fit my style, I got to try to go elsewhere. That I would get, but I don't really know what he said when he came out.
But there's ways of doing that too. These guys have their little agents and their feelers. They get the parents involved. Hey, look, I'm going to enter the portal at the end of the season. It's not like he could transfer to UNLV and play next week.
He quit.
He quit on the
Honestly.
team.
Yeah. I'm all done.
Right.
And
So he's not going to play another game this year, even if he was going to get into another game. Obviously, he got benched, but He quit on the team. He could have done all this on December 15th after BC loses their useless bowl game at Fenway Park.
Right.
you know, I'm assuming that's where they're playing. So
most likely.
all right. So locally last night, the Providence Bruins were edged by the Cleveland Monsters. How are they not called the Cleveland Barons? And
I don't know.
pay tribute to the old team. But the Cleveland Monsters 4-3 in overtime last night at the Amp. Forwards Riley Duran and Mark McLaughlin both recorded a goal and an assist. Defenseman Frederick Brunette tied the game in the final frame. P. Bruins extended their point streak to 4 games with the overtime loss. After a game in Hartford tonight, the PBs returned to the Amp for a 3 o'clock matinee tomorrow. And I did note that Rick DiPietro was also the goalie last night. I haven't done a deep dive. I have no idea if Bussy has been playing that, or if we just happened to catch DiPietro after a Friday night game.
Yeah, I'm just I'm laughing because I don't even know who the Cleveland Barons are.
They became.
I'm just glad you know. That's it.
They merged with the Minnesota North Stars when they combined teams. The Barons just folded, I believe. Oh no, I should know this. I think they were the California Golden Seals, became the Cleveland Barons, and then they just folded. I know the Kansas City Scouts became the Colorado Rockies, who became the New Jersey Devils.
That's why. Anyway. That's why we work well together. You know the stuff that I don't know, and
I know the useless
stuff that you
information
don't know,
that will come up at Thanksgiving dinner.
Over in college hockey, Thursday night, number 10 Providence beat number 20 UMass by a score of 2-1 up at the Mullen Center in Amherst. Those two same teams face off again tonight at Schneider at 6 p.m. Brown drops to 0-3 this season, dropping a 3-2 decision to number 19 Quinnipiac last night. Brown takes on Princeton tonight at 6 over at Meehan Auditorium.
And over in college basketball, 3-0 PC takes on Green Bay today, 5 o'clock at the Amp. PC struggling a bit in their 3-0 start with their wins over Central Connecticut and Hampton. Not exactly inspiring. URI also 3-0 after their win over D2 Franklin Pierce. They next play Wednesday at home versus Lafayette. Tip-off is at 7. Brown 1-2 on the season after a couple of tough losses. Will take on Holy Cross at home tonight at 7 o'clock. And over at Bryant, the 2-1 Bulldogs winner Thursday night against Buffalo, 87-64. Will next play at Delaware Monday at 6:30. So when we return, we're going to take a deeper dive into the local men's college basketball scene. We expect to have Blackstone Valley Call and Time sports writer Brendan McGear on as well. So stay tuned and join us after this quick break on the Chief Seats with Pat and Kevin right after these messages.
ON 1240.
The latest Buick and GMC models are available at Tasker Buick GMC in Woonsocket. Buick Encore, Envision, Enclave, and Envista are on the lot waiting for you to take one for a test drive. New GMC crossovers, SUVs, as well as trucks and vans are also available. Thinking of a pre-owned vehicle? Tasker Buick GMC has more than 900 in stock, many under $15,000. Visit online, TaskerBuickGMC.com, or stop into 55 Fortin Drive, Woonsocket. Tasker Buick GMC, you will be satisfied. Kitchen trends for 2024. Want to make your cooking space feel more special. From textured tiles to rounded stone islands to porcelain countertops, Cumberland Kitchen and Bath Design Center can show you these and more. Visit CumberlandKitchen.com or stop in and see Kevin and his team at their showroom in the McDonald's Plaza on Mendon Road, Cumberland, right off Route 295. Turning a house into a home, your home, Cumberland Kitchen and Bath Design Center.
When you're ill and need same-day care, remember North Smithfield Urgent Care and Lincoln Urgent Care for affordable and accessible care. You'll always be seen by a board-certified physician who will assess the problem and make you feel safe and reassured. Check their websites for convenient patient and medical forms, which you may fill out before the visit. North Smithfield Urgent Care, 594 Great Road, North Smithfield, 768-3400. And Lincoln Urgent Care, 2 Wake Robin Road, Lincoln, 333-9595.
The last thing you need is more stress. So at Micho's Auto Body, they handle the complete claim for you. Check their website to see the 13 actual steps they take to make your experience stress-free. You'll also see a complete photo gallery showing you the detailed and technical process necessary to accommodate new car construction and metallic paints. Micho's Auto Body, 430 Privilege Street, Woonsocket. 769-1983.
Looking to beautify your property this fall? Look to A.J. Moran for stonework patios, steps, walkways, plus retaining walls. Looking to beautify your home this fall? A.J. Moran can put veneer stone right on your house to have beautiful looking stone. And if that's not what you want, A.J. Moran can rebuild indoor fireplaces with veneer stone. It's real natural stone. Check out what they can do online, ajmoraninc.com. A.J. Moran.
We're local and live at 99.5.
And welcome back to the Cheap Seats. Thank you for joining us in the Cheap Seats with Pat and Kevin. And let's see if I can do this right. We should have Brendan McGarr on the phone. Brendan, are you... Hold on one second, please. Brendan, are you there?
How are you?
Great, Brendan. How about yourself? Thank you for joining us in the Cheap Seats with Pat and Kevin this morning. Did you have the night off last night, Brendan?
Kevin, I mean, it's Friday Night Football. You know that drill.
I know. Some good games you saw last night, huh?
let's just say we didn't. There were no speed limits broken going from Back Street Field to try to catch the end of the Cumberland Henry game in Warwick last night.
Yeah, no, I was surprised when you texted me that you were on your way there now. I'm like, okay. Good. I'm glad you got there for the final. So, yeah, we covered the local scene. Burrillville pulled one out last night. Obviously, Hendricken pulled one out as well. But Brendan, we're bringing you in today. I'd like to cover. We got the 4 Division I men's basketball teams, obviously the women's too, but kind of wanted to cover the men's basketball scene. I kind of prepped you a little bit earlier in the week when we spoke. I know I prepped Pat. We talked about it briefly last week. I'm going to jump right into it, Brendan. My question: I want a college basketball beanpot tournament here in Rhode Island. I want URI, Bryant, PC, and Brown getting together in the beanpot style tournament. I don't care if it's preseason, Thanksgiving tournament, the first 2 Mondays in November, however you want to play it out. I want that to happen. 1 year, the final could be at the AMP. The next year, the final could be at URI. I think it would be great for the state. I think the state embraces college basketball, where New England does not exactly embrace college sports at all. They do embrace college basketball. So basically, that's my idea. You have the championship, you have it 1 year at the AMP, you have the women's tournament. Do the same thing with them at URI and flip-flop every year. Why can't this happen?
I'll tell you flat out, Kevin, why it will not happen. And believe me, nobody wants this more than me. As someone who watches a lot of these non-conference games that, quite frankly, they just drag on. They don't really have a lot of juice or sizzle going into them.
Well,
this would definitely
just to interrupt you for 1 second. I mean, Bryant's playing Dean College. URI is playing Franklin Pierce. I mean, come on, right? I mean, those are. I don't know if I want to go see Dean play Bryant.
Well, those two situations, different schedule. Bryant's always had a difficult time scheduling to begin with, and for URI, they were looking at, I think, like a 12-day layoff, so they needed to find a game.
Okay.
So you had to go find an opponent, and so be it that Franklin Pierce was willing to step up to the plate. But one thing that will probably always prevent this from happening, and it will, because PC URI, they signed a 10-year agreement a couple of years ago, home and away. You're not going to disrupt that. And also, too, Kevin, I think, as much as they would generate a lot of local buzz, all these programs are locked into different multi-team events that, quite frankly, probably bring a little more cash prestige to each one's program, as opposed to, each year saying, okay, 4 teams, let's get together. And also, too, it's also like for PC, it's difficult to maybe lock dates in because, they don't control the dates at the AMP. They're basically, them and the P-Bros, they're the 2 primary winter sport tenants.
Correct.
And it's kind of like, difficult to kind of lock something in per se. But I just think that, with multi-team events like PC, for example, they're going to the Bahamas in a couple weeks. Bryant, they're going to Tennessee. It's just very hard to kind of maybe add a second, maybe multi-team event to the equation.
Yeah, and I agree with that, and that's one of the reasons why I do like the hockey bean pot is the games actually don't count in their regular season, but is built up such a prestige between BU, BC, Harvard, and Northeastern that you listen to a coach or a player. What are their three goals? Not Harvard in this situation, but to win Hockey East, win the national championship, and win the Beanpot. I mean, they take it that seriously, and I would just, me personally, I just think it would be really, really neat. When do they play the Beanpot? It's always the first 2 Mondays in February. Not exactly a hockey hotbed night in college hockey. PC plays. URI plays PC and Brown. PC plays URI. They play. Bryant plays URI. Plays Brown. They play each other into some form anyway. I know it probably won't happen.
It won't happen because also too, Kevin, like we said at the top, PCURI, they're locked into a home series every year.
Right.
Bryant and Brown have developed a very good rivalry, at least on the local level. They're locked into a home and away series every Sunday. I don't think those two teams would like to give up, the potential for a game either. Going to maybe the AMP or to the Ryan Center,
right?
Unless they want to add a second game, for example. And we're not. This isn't the 1960s anymore, where people used to clamor for PCURI to play twice a year, home and away. It's just not going to happen. Nobody would love to see this more than me. Maybe as a great kickoff to the season.
Yeah.
But just like in the world we live in terms of college basketball, the multi-team events that everyone commits to, and also too, there's not a lot of dates per se that are available and flexible because every program runs their own different schedule. For example, Bryant, they kicked off the other night. That was the first of 7 straight games away from the Chase Athletic Center. That's a long time to be on the road to play that many games away from your home venue. I don't care if it's November or February.
No,
but,
right.
Logistically, it's just very hard to do.
No, and I get it. And that's just me being, kind of selfish, wanting to see something. And you're right. It's not the 1960s. I mean, the Beanpot's been around since the 40s, right? Or 50s anyway. So it's I get it. I just want to. I just want what I want, Brendan. Come on, right?
Listen, you don't have to convince me how it would be crazy from a sentimental standpoint of having all 4 teams play each other. But also too, like if you look at say the state of Connecticut, where they have much more Division I programs, far more Division I programs. Why can't like Central Connecticut get together with Quinnipiac or Sacred Heart or Yale and form their own little Beanpot that way? It's just everyone in college basketball. Everyone's in their own individual silo in terms of their non-conference, and it's so hard to kind of get everybody, even if you're very close in geography, to get on the same page.
Oh, right, yeah, and in my situation or our situation, I mean, the 4 teams play in 4 different conferences. At the Beanpot, you got 3 Hockey East and 1 ECAC. You got 4 different conferences. You got America East, you got Ivy, you got the Atlantic 10 and the Big East, so they have to worry about those schedules as well.
even if they played it I'm looking at URI's schedule, and they played essentially 4 exhibition games back in August and October. 3 of them they were down in the Bahamas, and then they played UConn October 14th. Why couldn't you do it in October preseason?
Would they allow that with the whole Midnight Madness thing and all that?
Well, we've seen also too in the recent year. Now this year especially, we saw Division I scrimmages, and they tie it to a charity. URI played at UConn this year. That was tied to a charity cause. UMass and PC, they played at the AMP, and that was tied to a charity cause. Maybe that's the way to do it.
Right.
But then all of a sudden you want to go play each other again in the regular season.
Right.
Right. No, I get that. And again, and I keep going back to the hockey. They do play each other in Hockey East anyway throughout the season. But yeah, it's I don't have obviously I don't have all the answers on this. This is just something I've thought about for a long time, and I am going completely by geography, and I won't have the tickets get split between the two programs. All 4 programs on at PC and URI. Bring the women aboard. I even thought of bringing Johnson and Wales, Rick, Roger Williams, and Salve on board to kick off like a Division III type of thing ahead of time for extra tickets to be sold. I don't know.
I think that probably has a better shot of seeing the light of day, Kevin. I think a Division III tournament then.
Well, if you do,
Kevin's a big thinker.
No, listen. I've done enough games with Kevin to know that he's definitely a thinker, and that's definitely something that's been on his mind. This passion to his hockey realm.
Yeah.
I bring in the passion, Brendan. All right, so Brendan, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna break down a little bit of Brown, Bryant, URI, and PC. And you willing to take some phone calls?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
All right, if you have any calls for Brendan McGeer, give us a call, 401-766-1240. When we come back, we're gonna get off my soapbox, and we're gonna dive right into the four local basketball teams. We will be back right after these messages.
OM 1240.
State Line Service and Tire Center services all vehicles, including late model cars and light trucks. Your late model vehicle is a highly sophisticated piece of equipment featuring a network of sensors and switches that monitor engine performance and efficiency. When a problem arises, it's important for your technician to know if your check engine light warning is a real problem or just a sensor computer issue. So be safe and be sure. Don, Kevin, and Sean believe in communicating and explaining. State Line Service and Tire Center, 1209 Social Street, Woonsocket, at the State Line.
Bad accidents happen to good people. John Brian of the Brian Law Group can help if you've been injured in an accident. The Brian Law Group handles personal injury cases on a contingent fee basis. You do not pay anything unless they secure money for you through a jury award or insurance settlement. When choosing a lawyer, go with someone you know, someone local. Choose John Brian of the Brian Law Group. Call 401-597-5565. 597-5565.
Big banks offer you everything these days. Bank from home, bank from your phone, even apply for a loan from anywhere you are. It's called Big Bank Tech, and it's pretty cool. Did you know you don't have to go to a big bank to be pretty cool? Navigant Credit Union offers their members all the Big Bank Tech without the big bank. And if you want to come into a branch to see us, we'll make you feel like you own the place, because you do. We think that's pretty cool, too. Navigant Credit Union, member NCUA.
Woonsocket Door Sales can handle any kind of door installation, including residential and commercial, paying special attention to your door's infrastructure, such as framework repair, to ensure that your door is firmly in place. Woonsocket Door Sales is a fourth-generation family business, installing and repairing all types of doors. Please visit their website at woonsocketdoorsales.com to see a gallery of door styles, manufacturers, and testimonials from satisfied customers. Woonsocket Door Sales, 767-3448. Call Amy Bebo at 767-3448.
A world-class distributor of all things electrical is Electrical Wholesalers. They are a full-service electrical distributor with branches throughout Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire. Locally, they're at 113 Clinton Street next to KFC here in Woonsocket, with other locations in Cranston and Franklin, Massachusetts. Electrical Wholesalers provides the highest quality service to electrical contractors as well as residential, commercial, and industrial customers. Electrical Wholesalers is open Monday through Friday, 7 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon. Visit ew-ne.com. Electrical Wholesalers.
Southeastern Massachusetts' premier baseball and softball facility is Triborough Diamond Sports Academy, located at 445 East Washington Street, conveniently off of Route 1 in North Attleboro. Whether you're looking to put in some individual work in or out of season, or looking for an indoor home for your team during the fall and winter seasons, DSA has you covered. Come to DSA for personalized and group instruction, batting tunnel and pitching mound rentals, team facility rentals, camps, captain's practices, and so much more. Contact Triborough Diamond Sports Academy at 508-316-1702 or via the web at triboroughDSA.com.
And welcome back to the Chief Seats with Pat and Kevin. And we are joined by Brendan McGeer. Brendan, you still with us?
Yes, guys. How are you?
All right, doing great. So let's jump right into this, Brendan. Brown University, they'll be hosting the Ivy League Championships this year at the Pizzitola Center. I think I said that right. On the campus of Brown University. Coming into the season, Brown ranked number 3 in the Ivy, actually getting a first place vote along the way. However, they're off to a 1-2 start, and to make matters worse, they lost their best player to shoulder surgery. Senior Nana Azwusu Anane, most likely out for the season. Your thoughts on Brown, and can they get past that injury, and any chance of them getting to the Ivy Championship game at home and to try to get the automatic bid into the NCAAs?
I mean, the play is definitely much harder without your best, front court player.
Right.
And all you have to do is look like last night's box score, which Brown they got on the winning column last night with a win over UNH. Keno Lilly, who is their best player guard, he had 26 points. But then there's a huge drop off. Landon Lewis, front court player who's going to have to step up in a major way, 6'7" junior. He had 11 points. Aaron Cooley, a senior who stepped into the starting lineup midway through last season, he had 10 points. It all can't be on Keno Lilly's shoulders. He's as dynamic of a scorer he is. He's also 6 feet and 165 pounds. It's going to be very easy for defenses to throw everything at him and
Literally.
kind of dare everyone else on Brown's roster to make plays. And if that's the case, that's going to be up to Lilly's teammates to help him out. Otherwise, it's going to be a one-man band for Brown this winter.
Yeah, that's tough. Tough recovery. Brown. Teams like Brown, Bryant are always kind of behind the 8 ball. Anyway, when it comes to recruiting, behind all the power conferences going on, and even in state, obviously to Providence College and to a lesser extent URI. But tough. I remember last year them making a run in the Ivy League championships. I think they made it to the championship game. And
they lost a heartbreaker. They were up, I think, 5 or 25 seconds to go. Ended up losing by 1. Just an absolute heartbreaker for Mike Martin's group. But I think the incentive, like you said at the top, Kevin, is to try to get to the Pizzitola Center for the Ivy Madness, so to speak. So that's definitely going to keep them going throughout the winter, especially when January comes around and conference play begins.
Yeah, by a great coincidence, what a great carrot to kind of be dangling in front of them. Hey, you guys get to host this tournament. We're good enough. Because they are a good team, like you just mentioned. They have players. Not like they weren't a one-man gang coming into the season anyway. So, all right. Anything else on Brown before we head over to Bryant?
I think that's good for Brown. They're actually playing a multi-team event as we speak this weekend over at the Pizzitola Center. They have games tonight against Holy Cross, and I think they have another game tomorrow night. So, speaking of multi-team events, the Bears are certainly checking off that box this weekend.
No, you're right. And I should have mentioned that earlier. They are in a tournament type of thing right now at home. So no, thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate it.
Not good enough for you, Kevin.
Not good enough. You know what I want, Brent.
Well, we know what you want, Kevin. It doesn't suit the savage beast.
That's right. So we got what? Bryant's picked third to finish third in the America East poll behind Vermont and UMass Lowell. They have senior Earl Timberlake, who's in his 5th and final collegiate season. He averaged 14.6 points, 9 rebounds last year. What can you tell us about Bryant this season? They play their home games on the campus at the Chase Athletic Center, which I think seats like 500, maybe.
So they did some renovation a couple of years ago. They actually put seat backs in, so that at least have the wooden bleachers for the longest time. But definitely made some upgrades to the Chase, and they've also made some upgrades to the talent on the roster. Remember, this is a team a couple of years ago that tore through the NEC and made it to the NCAA tournament as the first time as a Division I program, and they've kind of try to get to the next level in a new conference. They switched over to the America East. You mentioned, Pat, Earl Timberlake. Credit to him for staying in this day and age of the transfer portal because, he started out his career as Miami. He went to Memphis, and he seems to have found a home in Smithfield of all places. And it kind of speaks to the relationship he's been able to build with head coach Phil Martelli Jr. And, in this day and age where it's all about, NIL and, instant transfers, it's nice to see a player who early in his career was kind of pegged as a player going here and there and everywhere, staying put for when it's his third season in Smithfield.
No, that's great. Hey, a quick question on the Chase Athletic Center. You mentioned the seat backs. Is this basically the Peter Chris? Is that his name?
Peter Kiss. They did that actually before Peter Kiss arrived.
Oh, okay. So it was good timing. He rubbed a few people the wrong way, but he was rather dynamic for Bryant. Anyway, he kind of put them on the map there for a bit.
He definitely elevated the program, Kevin, to the sense that, you might have not agreed with his actions on the court all the time, but, so not all news is not necessarily bad news, as they say.
You're exactly. I remember his name, and that was what 2 years ago.
Yeah, he's a passionate guy, right?
Very
Brendan,
passionate guy, but
wanted to throw this in there. So it looks like they got maybe eight transfer players on their team.
Yeah,
What's your take on the portal
in general?
So my take on the portal is that it's forced coaches to kind of maybe stay sharp all the time. So we heard all the time about recruiting, and usually it's been about recruiting high school players. But with the transfer portal, it gives you a chance to kind of refuel on the fly, so to speak. And that's the case with Brian, in my opinion. One player I'm certainly looking forward to seeing in person this year is Barry Evans. St. Bonaventure transfer.
Yep.
He's 6'8", but he plays like a guard. He shot the ball very well in their win against Buffalo the other night. And also too, like transfers, they can go up and then go down. Players, St. Bonaventure transferring to Bryant, that's considered maybe a downward move, so to speak, in today's college basketball world, as opposed to transferring up. But I think the portal goes both ways for programs. So you can get players on the rebound in terms of maybe they started their career at a power. I guess we can't even call it Power 5 anymore because of the Pac-12 that's involved. But players that maybe started at a higher level, they kind of get a second opportunity to transfer down and maybe get that playing time that they craved or originally thought was going to be the case coming out of high school.
Yeah, and what you don't see, what I'd love to see is you don't see. I mean, I can see who they got through the transfer portal, but I don't know how many times they've been in the transfer. Like they got a sixth-year player who they got from UMass Lowell. He's 6'8", 200 pounds. I would imagine that he wasn't at UMass Lowell for 5 years. So.
Right.
No, and also too, guys, you have to keep in mind this is the last year of the COVID-19 waivers that were granted during the 2020-21 season. So college basketball has been old a little bit the last couple of years, and I'll be interested to see going forward once we get past this year how much more does high school recruiting take even more of an emphasis, even though the transfer portal will always be available to coaches.
Right, and the portal, a lot of the negatives, it actually benefited, even selfishly, both my kids, because some of these programs don't offer master's programs. And when COVID, one of my sons got 2 years of extra eligibility, one son got an extra year of eligibility. And with the schools maybe not offering a master's program, allowed them to play an extra year or two beyond. So you are seeing the end of that right now. And you all listen to Brendan McGeer joining us here in the Cheap Seats, Blackstone Valley Call and Times sports writer, Brendan McGeer. And just quickly off topic, what are your thoughts then in regards to the portal? Tommy Castellanos up at Boston College, leaving the season mid-season and entering the transfer portal out of Boston College. You don't hear that too often.
That's the part of the portal I don't like.
Right.
It kind of gives kids a chance to bail and then all of a sudden see what's out there. I feel like some coaches have talked about how it doesn't. Kids don't need to. They can't really have that fire anymore because if they don't like their current situation, they can always believe that the grass is greener on the other side. That's the part of the portal I don't like.
Right.
But, it also, too, if you lose 3 or 4 players, via the portal or to graduation, it gives you a chance to, like I said, replenish on the fly.
Yeah, I think
it cuts both ways.
Yeah, it has its good. I think they gotta kind of restructure it a little bit so that there is some accountability involved, but I think it was a good thing at the time because especially football is where you see it more often than not, or even basketball where you see these these big college coaches just walking away from their contracts and going on to the next big lucrative deal, but yet they had these players that they recruited who went there to play for them, and under the previous rule, it was like, well, if you transfer, you lose a year of eligibility. But these other coaches are walking away, and to a multi-million-dollar deal.
Right. So, because coaches always demand accountability from their players.
Yeah.
And that all of a sudden the coaches have wandering eyes. Well, why can't the players, so to speak, have that same power and freedom? The one thing, like I said, we like just the situation at BC you referenced. I don't like players leaving in the middle of a season.
Yeah,
I think that sends a very bad message.
Yeah, and we talked briefly as well. I don't know if I'm a team, if I want to pick up somebody that just quit on their team mid-season. I think it's a bad look. Look, you do it privately, that's fine. He did it publicly, and that's the tough part in this situation. So, Brendan, you willing to hang around with us for one more segment?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cover the two big boys.
And we'll cover the two big boys when we come back. And we also have a question from Moose that I wrote down. He's one of our big regulars here on the Cheap Seats that I'll be asking you in regards to PC as well. So when we come back, joining us in the Cheap Seats is Brendan McGeer of the Blackstone Valley Call and Times. We will be back right after these messages.
Your station for news and sports, ON 1240.
The latest Buick and GMC models are available at Tasca Buick GMC in Woonsocket. Buick Encore, Envision, Enclave, and Envista are on the lot waiting for you to take one for a test drive. New GMC crossovers, SUVs, as well as trucks and vans are also available. Thinking of a pre-owned vehicle? Tasca Buick GMC has more than 900 in stock, many under $15,000. Visit online, TascaBuickGMC.com, or stop into 55 Fortin Drive, Woonsocket. Tasca Buick GMC, you will be satisfied. Sam and Tina at Ollie's Pizzeria are so grateful for all the customers who voted them gold for best pizza in ON Radio's Best of the Blackstone Valley. Ollie's Pizzeria, where quality ingredients, expert craftsmanship, and a cozy ambiance come together to redefine your pizza cravings. Order online at olliespizzeriari.com. Ollie's Pizzeria, 204 South Main Street, Woonsocket, on the corner of Front Street and South Main. Ollie's Pizzeria, one of the best of the Blackstone Valley.
When you have an emergency leak, or maybe even worse, a fire, remember this name, 24 Restore. Say it again, 24 Restore. You may not need them today, or next week, or even a month from now, but at some point when you do, it's got to be 24 Restore. 24 Restore is the leading full-service restoration partner for commercial and residential properties throughout New England. When you need water mitigation, fire restoration, or even mold remediation, 24 Restore is your one-stop shop for all of your restoration needs. They'll handle it all seamlessly with your insurance company, so you don't have to worry. So remember, 24 Restore New England, they're there when you need them, 24/7, 365 days a year, at 1-855-280-3060, or via the web at 24restorene.com.
Hi folks, this is Tom Marshall, founder of Marshall Building and Remodeling. You know, when it comes to choosing a roofing, siding, or window company for your home, you need to protect yourself from inexperience, unfair prices, and shoddy work. The best way to do that is to call Marshall. We'll give you honest advice and a fair price, then you decide. With Marshall, there's no money down, great warranties, and the best work and service available, period. Make your home beautiful with Marshall. Visit us at marshallbr.com, and remember, we are your local roofing, siding, and window people.
If you're celebrating a major event, regardless of the reason, Michael's Meats of Cumberland can elevate your next meal from ordinary to extraordinary with meats so good your guests will ask you where you got them. Tell them, Michael's Meats. Michael's Meats is in the Walgreens parking lot on Mendon Road in Cumberland, just north of the Ciabro Plaza. They're open Monday through Saturday at 9 a.m., making your next meal truly special. Here's this week's specials at Michael's Meats.
And this week at Michael's Meats, we have hot or sweet Italian sausage or patties for just $3.99 a pound at Michael's Meats. Also now taking Thanksgiving orders. And we have a quick programming note as well. Meant to mention this earlier. Next week, Pat and I, the Cheap Seats, will not be on. As WOON presents the Community Care Alliance Holiday for Kids Radiothon. That's going to be from 6 to 11 next Saturday. So the Cheap Seats will be not on next week, but we will be returning the following following Saturday. So the Community Care Alliance Holiday for Kids Radiothon from 6 to 11 next Saturday. Such a great cause. And apologies for not mentioning it earlier. So Brendan, welcome back. Thank you again for joining us here in the studio. Oh, not in the studio.
Absolutely,
In the
thanks
Chiefs.
for having me on.
All right, no problem. URI playing out of the Atlantic 10. Expectations a little bit lower. A preseason pick to finish 11th in the A and 10. They are off to a 3-0 start. In theory, should be maybe 8-0 when they take on PC December 7th down at the Ryan Center at noon. What can you tell us? URI, any chance at the NCAA or NIT? Last year, the A10 did send two to the NCAA. Your thoughts on URI?
It's an interesting time for URI. It's the third year for Archie Miller, and I think last year was maybe a step backwards, and Miller will probably say that. But that's another team that kind of did some work during the transfer portal, and it was able to retain some key players, which similar to Bryant, is no small feat in this day and age of player movement very liberally. But I'm going to be interested to see how much of a jump that this URI team can take this season. And PE picked low; they're probably not on too many teams' radars. But internally, I think for URI, it's almost like they still can see the Dan Hurley era very clearly in terms of what he did for their program, where it was when he took over for Jim Barron, and the way he was able to elevate it to one of the premier programs in the Atlantic 10, where they won the conference tournament, they won the regular season tournament, they went to the NCAA in back-to-back seasons. That was maybe the hope to be the standard going forward. Well, it's very hard, unless you're a blue blood, to really maintain that level every single year. URI took a step backwards under David Cox, and now with Archie Miller entering his third season, it's kind of like, are we ever going to see those days again? And it's become even harder when your former coach, meaning Hurley, right next door over in Storrs, Connecticut, winning national championship after national championship. So I think there's the ability, at least on the surface, for URI to take a step forward. I don't know if the NCAA might be too big of a jump this year, so maybe setting up for a possibility for a good year in year 4. But can they be competitive? Because there were some games where last season it was just very tough sledding for them.
Right, and to their future, they did just get a big recruit, a 6'8" forward, Javon Perry, who was on his social media just made a commitment to URI ahead of Portland, Florida International, and UTEP. So I don't know much about Javon Perry, but 6'8" sounds good, right?
He's a local kid. He plays on Expressions Elite, the same AAU program that recent Friars signee Jalen Harrell plays for. So there's definitely that little local connection there as well.
Oh, that's great. So and it's funny. I am one of the weird ones in the state. I love Providence College, but I really do like URI too. And I know you're not supposed to be able to like both teams, but I'm one of the few. So I do want to see URI do well from the Rhode Island point of view as well. So that's exciting. So I do want to jump over to PC and the time we have left. You don't say this too often, Brendan. A team is off to a sluggish 3-0 start. I listened to the Central Connecticut game. I watched the Hampton game, and I wasn't necessarily impressed with the Stonehill game. You seeing any nervousness on the part of Kim English and the team?
So I'm going to be the guy that talks to everyone off the ledge.
Okay, thank you.
Kind of like everyone thinks big picture, and I'm going to. And why I believe that is this. During the preseason for the Friars, they were kind of dealt a nasty blow in terms of injuries. Key guys missing time, and it was the worst possible time to have players in and out because that's September. You want to form that chemistry, that bond, and even Kim English said it. I think maybe one of the first 2 games after one of his press conferences, we're like 3 weeks behind. And that was very apparent when they played UMass in their charity exhibition game.
Yep.
A lot of guys weren't there for one reason or another that you thought are going to be dependable upon. And the preseason, it's all about trying to develop those bonds, those connections that will be easily transferable on the court. And similar, maybe a little bit different from the other schools we just talked about. PC is getting players who maybe have been like the guy at other schools. Maybe
Right.
they were getting a high volume amount of shots at other places. For me, Wesley Carnett Jr., the transfer from Chicago State, he springs to mind. He used to have the green light all the time because he was that team's best player, hands down. Now you come to PC, and you go from maybe shooting 20 times a game to maybe barely 10. That's a huge adjustment for players to kind of, go from that role and understand how they fit into the team concept. And because so many Friars missed time during the preseason with injuries, it's almost like they're trying to do this great chemistry experiment on the fly. And the problem is there have been games going on, and that's created some uneasiness among the fan base, thinking, why isn't this a polished product from day one? Well, like we said, it takes time to form those bonds, and it's even been pushed back because of their injury situation. And I used the word disjointed with Kim English after a press conference, and he actually referenced that word later on in the same press conference. So I was like, "Oh, gold star for me." But I think that he probably thought that's the best way to sum up what we were dealing with during the preseason. It was disjointed.
So you agree with how Kim English has been approaching? I think Kim English is a great fit for the program. So you like his approach with all the new guys and how he's handling. Hey, you're not the big fish in the little pond anymore. You're part of a much bigger project here.
And I saw that the other night, especially in the game against Stonehill, where he didn't play Christos Asadico or Jabri Abdur-Rahim at all in the second half. These are two players who saw good amount of minutes in the first two games for the Flyers, but all of a sudden they're not out there. And one of the things that maybe coaches, one of the things that they can still wield as a hammer is playing time. In terms of if you don't shape up or do what we do, or within the structure of the team system, you're not going to play. I don't care if you're a 4-star recruit or somebody who just joined our program last week. You have to fall in line, so to speak. So if you're going to send a message like that, you might as well send it in early November as opposed to the heart of Big East play.
Right. And okay, so in the time we do have left, I do have two questions. One came from our listener Moose. He wants to know how many more wins until you think PC can crack the top 25. And then after you answer that, I'm looking for a timeline on Bryce Hopkins, because I've heard he's a fairly decent player. Bryce Hopkins.
that would be correct on this question. I think it's pretty soon. Maybe today against Green Bay, maybe next week, next Tuesday against Delaware State.
Ooh, that's
Kim
soon.
English said that.
Oh.
Kim English said that. That he probably wants to play his star at some point when they go to the Bahamas for the Battle of Atlantis tournament during Thanksgiving week. Now, I think it's unrealistic to see Hopkins play at all three games that PC is scheduled to play down there. Maybe he gets 2 out of 3. Maybe he's on a quote-unquote pitch count in terms of minutes. But, I think, and I think, too, from a psychological standpoint, to get him minutes before the home crowd, I think that would boost his confidence even more.
Sure.
In terms of the top 25, I think the Friars, that conversation's a little bit down the road because, I just looked at their schedule.
Right.
It's been all like teams that reside in the lower half of the Ken Palm rating system, which is something I check very frequently.
Sure.
But they do have some opportunities coming up. Like you said, the Battle of Atlantis. They also host BYU. They got a road game at URI, and then a neutral site game against St. Bonaventure. So the opportunities are going to be there for the Flyers to make some headway and grab some potentially quality wins that will look good come March. But I would think, check back in a month or so in terms of where they are knocking on the door of the top 25.
So my guess off of that, Brendan McGeer joining us here in the Chief Seats from the Blackstone Valley Call and Times, is before they hit Big East play, you're looking at maybe no more than 2 losses, and possibly they get a sniff of like the top 25 at that point, maybe.
Well, BYU is going to be no slouch either
Right.
coming in here. I know that's a difficult game at URI. That's especially when PC go down there, that's their Super Bowl.
Right.
In terms of that's the game that their fan base looks forward to every single year. That's the game that you always count on being sold out.
Yep.
Going to be a very hostile arena. But they could get bopped here once or twice here along the way, maybe even 3 times here, Kevin, because you don't know, if they don't, they'll have a week off after they play Delaware State before heading down to the Bahamas in their next game. So that could be a good, like a little like NFL, break week, so to speak, like a bye week. So a chance to reassess everything. So it's an evolving process because, like we said, it was such a disjointed preseason from an injury standpoint.
Right, but no, very encouraging on Bryce Hopkins. I wasn't expecting him back till like mid to late December. So Pat's got a question.
Yeah, Brendan, I have been. I mean, I'm not a huge college basketball guy. I mean, I went to UMass back in the mid '90s and was then obviously, but haven't really been since then. But I was impressed watching at least two of the games that I saw with Bensley Joseph, who's a transfer from Miami, who's really been a single-digit guy at Miami, but he's averaging 14 points and 3 rebounds for PC now. Are you impressed by him?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And he also comes, Pat, with a winning pedigree. This is a player who played on an Elite 8 team. He played on a Final Four team. I mean, any player you can add who has that, that experience, so to speak, that knows how it takes to get to that moment. I'm all for getting those players on the roster, and also too for Bensley, it's a chance to use it from Arlington, Mass. So it's a great chance for him to come home and play before the whole family. And also too, I think it helps in college basketball this day. You have to have multiple point guards on your roster. You weren't going to just like leave it all to James Pierre, the junior, and let him handle everything. Like we said, James Pierre was one of those players slowed by an injury during the preseason. I thought Bensley Joseph, that move wasn't really talked about a lot during the offseason in terms of bringing him in, but I thought it was a great coup for Kim English and his staff to get somebody of that veteran experience who also knows how to run an offense.
Yeah, perfect.
That's great. All right, Brandon, thank you so much for joining us. Maybe we can check in again with you when conference play starts heating up and see if our prognostications change at all. Does that sound good?
Guys, anytime you want me to have on till college hoops, I'll be more than happy to.
All right, sounds great. Thank you once again, Brendan McGeer. Brendan McGeer of the Blackstone Valley Call and Times joining us here in the cheap seats. As we wrap up, one last programming note. Again, next week, Pat and I will not be on the Community Care Alliance Holiday for Kids Radiothon from 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. A great cause. So Pat and I will not be on next Saturday, but we will be returning on November 30th. So Pat, with that being said, have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you as well.
Thank you.
Remember, training for you starts immediately after Thanksgiving dinner. You're fighting Jake Paul next.
Oh yeah,
You're in that age and.
Oh great, yeah. With it's a shame I missed that fight. I guess last
you didn't
night.
miss anything.
That's what I heard. I'll have to devote a whole hour to Mike Tyson versus Paul.
Wow. I'll give the Pauls credit. They're marketing geniuses, and if they can get $40 million,
that's incredible
for that, and $20 million to Mike Tyson, God love him.
Wow. So once again, thank you for joining us here in the cheap seats with Pat and Kevin. We want to wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving. Once again, we will not be on next week. The Community Care Alliance Holiday for Kids Radiothon from 6 to 11 next Saturday. Please join in then next week as well. Great cause. Thank you all for joining us in the cheap seats. Have a great weekend and a great holiday.
Broadcasting live and local.